It's about being cold or distant. It's about being present without needing to perform. It's about being present without needing to perform. That presence is rare, and it creates deep emotional impact. People won't know why they're drawn to you. They'll just feel it. That's the art of silent attraction. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to the heart. Silent attraction isn't about withholding. It's about mastering your energy. It's about choosing when to speak and when to simply be. It's about showing up fully in your essence without demanding recognition. The most impactful connections happen when words aren't necessary. A glance, a moment, a calm interaction. These things create an emotional resonance that talking never could. The way you carry yourself tells more than 1,000 compliments. When someone experiences your silence and still feels connected, that's when they know it's real. That's when they realize they've met someone different. Someone rare. Being silent doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional. You don't speak unless it's meaningful. You don't act unless it's aligned. And you don't move unless it feels right. That kind of discipline in your presence builds trust. It creates mystery, not confusion. It gives others permission to lean in slowly, to explore your world with respect. Because when you don't offer everything at once, you teach others to earn access. That patience creates value. You become someone worth discovering. And that discovery isn't rushed. It's savored. Like a song with no lyrics that still touches the soul. The most magnetic people aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones whose presence lingers in silence. They walk into a room and change the atmosphere, not with their voice, but with their energy. That's not something you can fake. It's built through self-awareness, through emotional control, through inner peace. When you've done the work to become whole, you no longer need to prove it. And in that wholeness, you become a force. A force that doesn't need attention, but commands it. A force that doesn't chase love, but invites it. And that force begins with silent power. Your silence can speak louder than any compliment, confession, or declaration. It can say, I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And I don't need to perform for your approval. That message is felt without being said, and it leaves an impression. In a society obsessed with speaking first and listening later, silence becomes an act of rebellion. It becomes your elegance, your boundary, your filter. It keeps you in control of your energy. It keeps you centered in your value. And it creates an aura around you that no one can quite put into words, but everyone feels deeply. Silent attraction is about embodying your worth so completely that people are drawn not just to what you look like, but to what they feel when they're near you. It's about not needing to explain yourself, yet still being understood. It's about making hearts beat faster without ever raising your voice. And when someone finally does earn your attention, your conversation, your vulnerability, it's not just heard, it's felt. Because they know it came from depth, from intention, from energy. And that's what makes it unforgettable. You don't need to raise your voice or demand attention to leave a lasting impact. Sometimes, the most powerful message is delivered through quiet elegance and unshakable composure. The way you carry yourself in silence can speak volumes, more than any dramatic gesture or well-rehearsed line ever could. There is a strength in stillness, a force in subtlety, and a grace in choosing not to react. That's not weakness, it's power under control. It tells the world you're not desperate to be seen because you already see yourself. The one who doesn't need to prove anything is often the most magnetic. When you walk away with grace, You write a louder story than those who scream for closure. That story is written in silence, but it echoes forever. Grace is not about being soft, it's about being solid. It's the art of restraint when others expect you to lose control. It's the power to hold your head high when disappointment tries to pull you down. When someone sees that you won't lower your standards, that you won't trade your dignity for attention, they start to recognize your value differently. People remember how you made them feel, especially when your silence carried the message they didn't expect. You don't need to beg, plead, or convince anyone to choose you. Let your absence do what your presence no longer should. There's power in walking away with class. There's dignity in not giving them the reaction they hoped for. In a world obsessed with noise, elegance stands out like a rare jewel. It's not just about what you wear or how you move. It's the decision to be calm when chaos surrounds you. It's about choosing your battles, preserving your peace, and letting your actions define your standards. Apujevesi hostu, apujevesi tu bios, viri rigo, viri hostu. It's about choosing your battles, preserving your peace, and letting your actions define your standards. It's about choosing your battles, preserving your peace. It's about choosing your battles, preserving your peace. It's about choosing your battles, preserving your peace. When you refuse to engage in unnecessary drama, you don't appear weak, you appear elevated. You show that your emotional state is not up for negotiation. You show that silence can be more piercing than words when it comes from a place of strength. And most importantly, you show that self-control is the highest form of self-worth. You don't need to announce your boundaries when you live them. You don't need to explain why you walked away when your silence already said everything. The ability to remain poised while others are unraveling is what makes you unforgettable. Grace teaches people how to treat you without you having to say a word. The moment you stop explaining and start demonstrating, everything changes. You stop seeking closure and start creating peace. You stop trying to be understood and start standing in your own understanding. That shift is what draws people in. Not desperation, not drama, but quiet certainty. That certainty becomes your signature. The most captivating kind of strength is the kind that doesn't seek to overpower. It simply exists, calm and confident, like a quiet storm. When you know your value, you don't chase love, you attract it. You don't try to impress, you embody presence. Your grace becomes a standard, a mirror that shows others what's possible when someone refuses to settle. That kind of woman is unforgettable, not because she was the loudest, but because she was the most self-assured. In a world full of noise, being selective with your energy becomes your power. And those who deserve you will recognize that power, not from your words, but from your essence. There is elegance in silence, especially when it comes from a place of deep self-respect. You're not being quiet because you have nothing to say. You're being quiet because not everything deserves your voice. That kind of restraint creates mystery. It creates value. It invites curiosity. And it makes people wonder what it is about you that feels so different. You don't have to give away your emotions just because someone asks. You don't have to explain your decisions just to be validated. Let your silence be your protection. Let your stillness be your strength. That's how you shift from seeking approval to commanding respect. When someone sees you choosing dignity over chaos, they see a different kind of beauty. The beauty that doesn't scream to be noticed, but is impossible to ignore. The beauty that comes from knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. And if they can't see it, you don't force them to. You simply step back, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Silence becomes your answer. Detachment becomes your defense. And grace becomes your armor. The people who matter will notice. The people who don't were never meant to understand you. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer in your energy. Elegance is a choice to elevate instead of retaliate, a choice to hold your power close rather than throw it away in reaction. The ones who try to shake you with games, manipulation, or silence of their own expect you to crack. But when you remain calm, unbothered, and graceful, they start to lose control. That's when silent attraction becomes undeniable, because it shows you cannot be moved by pressure. You're not a puzzle to be solved or a prize to be earned through chaos. You are the calm in the storm, the one who didn't need to compete, argue, or prove. You just needed to be. When you let go with elegance, you show the world that your peace is priceless, that no situation, no person, and no circumstance is worth disturbing your inner clarity. That's the kind of strength that lasts. That's the kind of attraction that deepens. Because it says you are whole, with or without validation, with or without closure, with or without the outcome you once hoped for. That kind of detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your self-worth than temporary emotion. And that balance is what turns heads. That calm is what holds power. You don't win hearts by proving yourself. You win hearts by being yourself. And sometimes being yourself means walking away with grace when others expect drama. It means choosing peace when others expect chaos. And it means showing that you're already complete, regardless of who stays or who goes. Silent attraction isn't about doing less. It's about doing the right things with more intention. You become memorable not by force, but by frequency. Not by noise, but by presence. And that presence becomes irresistible to those who are ready for real connection. It all begins with elegance. It ends with power.